Well, thank you, John. My name's Steve Jones. I am the account director who has the privilege of delivering on the Infrastructure Plus contract for Staffordshire County Council. That really should say Infrastructure Plus partnership rather than contract, because it is a partnership. I can't blame anybody else. I put these slides together, so fair cop on that one. I'll just kick off by just reiterating a little bit of what John said. I'm not noted for my brevity, those of you who do know me, so 10 minutes is going to be a real challenge.
I'm timing it.
I'm sure I could quite easily stand here for an hour, but I promise you I won't. But just to recap on what Infrastructure Plus is, well, it's a bit of a clue in the title. It is about delivering the management of infrastructure. The core part of the infrastructure is the highway services, so we deliver all the maintenance activity, so the potholes, anybody who's driven through Staffordshire and got any complaints, don't see me afterwards. We're responsible for winter maintenance, verges, all those sorts of associated activity with managing that core asset. But in addition to that, as John said, we've added in the country parts, the public rights of way, and we've gone a step further. We're also responsible now for doing the design elements of the highway maintenance over the medium term, and also the asset management. So we now sit alongside the County Council and we pool our resources and make joint decisions on how best to spend the County Council's money to make sure that the money they have available delivers the best asset management programme over a period of time. It is an initial 10-year contract, that gives us enough time to do something really tangible, as Hazel was saying earlier. And all being well, if John and his colleagues don't get fed up with us after 10 years, we've got an option to take it for a further 10 years. So we have a good substantial period of time here that we can work together as partners. But I think one thing that John mentioned that's really important is the fact that their procurement team, and if you want a good example of how to procure with social value at the heart, I'd recommend you go and speak to John's team, because it was a fantastic case study. But at the heart of it, they've said that what they want is outcomes. What they don't want to do is to measure how many potholes we've repaired per week or how many trees we've maintained. What they're interested in is outcomes such as, how do people move around Staffordshire? Are they moving freely? And that sort of approach to procurement has allowed us to think differently. It's allowed us to break down the barriers between the classic contractor and client relationship, and it allows us to be innovative and free up the ingenuity of our staff, which has been really useful for us. As I said, I could stand here for a long time talking on all these different areas, but I won't. I'll just give you a quick flavour. I've tried to group the things we do with respect to social value into 4 themes here. Social value does pervade everything we do on the contract, and it's not just limited to skills and training. There are other areas, so I'll just quickly take you through those. Top of the tree there is local labour and employment skills. We are delivering a lot of apprenticeships, a lot of work placements for young people in our area. We work quite closely with PM Training on this, and another fantastic company that you could talk to if you want to be interested in this particular area. We have a lot of forces people in Staffordshire. There's a lot of people being relocated from Germany back into Stafford, so part of our agenda is to make sure that we work with the forces to take people who are leaving that service and provide them with jobs in Staffordshire. And also there's a qualifications issue here. In civil engineering, there's been a dearth of training over the years, and if we're going to have civil engineers of the future, we need to make sure that we have the institutions and the courses available locally so we can train our own and create an expertise in Staffordshire for the future. Protecting and enhancing the environment. Lots of things that a big corporate entity like Amey you would expect us to see us doing. We are conscious of our carbon footprint. We are conscious of minimising our waste. We are market leaders in Staffordshire, even within Amey itself, in terms of the amount of aggregate we recycle. Over the last 5 years, we've not used a single piece of quarried aggregate in our in our construction schemes, which is quite an achievement. Supporting the local economy. We talked about sizes of contracts. Well, if we take the full 20 years at £50 million turnover every year, we've got £1 billion of money, public money, to spend on behalf of the County Council in Staffordshire. It is incumbent on us as a company to make sure that we use that money wisely and we support local businesses. So we've got an objective to make sure that we're using local suppliers, local subcontractors, and in some instances helping individuals with an entrepreneurial flair to set up their own businesses. And then the last one that's on the slide here, before we go into some slightly more detailed case studies, is about community. Everybody who works for Amey is afforded one community day per year to go and use as they wish. Some tend to use it with local charities or organisations they're involved in. Others tend to get involved with things that we all organise at a higher level on the contract. But everybody on the contract is not just asked to, is required to deliver that community day. We do mentoring, we do charitable donations, we do promote volunteering, more so in the country parks area, because that particular area of service is absolutely totally reliant on the voluntary sector these days, and it's important that as a private company we can have an effective relationship with the voluntary sector. And also we're trying to put information out into communities to allow communities to join us in the decision making processes about where their money is going to be spent. It's quite a complex slide, but there's a simple message here. We recognise that as effective as our partnership with the County Council may be, unless we work with other organisations in Staffordshire and see it as an ecosystem of like-minded organisations all working towards the same goals, unless we promote that partnership across the partnership that John and I have, we're not going to be successful, and we're missing a trick. We've got all sorts of stakeholders, third sector, local suppliers, other local authorities in our area. We need to make sure that we are big enough as a company to work with those people without having any preciousness about the services we currently deliver. And the BS 11000 comment at the bottom there is a British standard process which helps you work through providing successful partnership behaviours and systems. So it's something we're working towards. Hazel mentioned earlier that she's seen about 1,200 measurement tools. Well, we heard Mia's and now you're hearing Amey, so next time you speak it's 1,202, because we have a measurement tool as well. It's really important that we try to put some value on the activity we're doing, and it is notoriously difficult to do, and it's pleasing to hear that we are trying to, at a national level, get some standards there. But in the absence of that, at the moment, we are putting effort to put a value to the activity we do, which is important because at the end of the day, we're working in austere times, and we need, if we are going to do these activities, to put a value and tell people about what we're doing. So now just two quick case studies. The first one's about a team called the Neighbourhood Highway Team, and it's a piece of work we're doing with our partners PM Training that you heard about earlier. Just to say what the Neighbourhood Highway Team does, traditionally it has been 10 vehicles, two-man gangs going out into communities, working with parish councils to provide the sort of activity that isn't highway maintenance. It's more aesthetic type work that we're doing for communities. So you'll see on the slide here that the top one shows you a pathway. It's just about serviceable, but it's not aesthetically pleasing. The Neighbourhood Highway Team, amongst many other things, would go in and do the edging off, cut the hedges back, make it look a little bit better, and it's the sort of work that communities want to see in addition to maintaining potholes, etc. What we've done is we've thought differently about how we could deliver that service. We're now putting apprentices on those vehicles, we're putting learners on those vehicles, and through delivering the Neighbourhood Highway Service, we're now going to be able to deliver over 150 work-related experiences for young people each year. That's also adding value to us because we've got some older members of staff who've got loads of experience, and they're getting satisfaction on being able to pass those skills and experiences on to the younger generation. It's also benefiting the communities because, of course, now instead of having two people on these gangs, we've got much more resource available to us, so we're getting more work done for the same amount of money. And also it gives us an opportunity in the future to start working with a probation service to look at community payback schemes and giving us an opportunity to work with the justice system to give positive activity in communities. So a fantastic piece of work. This one's slightly different. The slide you see there, nice and bright, this was taken from Staffordshire County Council's work that they do in their social care part of their business. It's a slide taken from something called the Children's Voice Project, and it's focused on children, young people who are in care. Now, we all know that if a young person is in care, they are presented with much more challenge than perhaps people who are in conventional family situations. So the County Council went to people in care and asked them, in an ideal world, what would they like the County Council to be doing on their behalf? And what happened was they came up with a long list of things that children in care wanted and needed, and that was translated into a pledge that the County Council gave to those children in care circumstances. That pledge has been given on behalf of every person who works for Staffordshire County Council. Now, as I said to you before, we're a partner of Staffordshire County Council. If the council pledge, it's incumbent on us as a company to pledge as well. So having heard this, I had to think, well, what can we do differently to help this pledge that they've given? So if you just look at the bottom line, this is one of many, but we will plan with you about when you leave care and identify what support you need and who will provide it. Well, Amey has stuck our hand up and we've said we'll be one of those providers. It's not massive yet, but if you see the 4 young men in yellow there, we have Tom, Ash, Alex and Matt. The one in the middle isn't one of the care leavers. That's Ed Timpson, who is, or was, we'll wait to see whether he is after the election in the future, but he was the Under Secretary of State for Children and Families, and he came to speak to those young men there about their experiences and the programme that we're putting them through. The quote that you put there, I hope you'll excuse it being a sort of handwritten thing, but I thought it added a little bit more authenticity rather than putting it into standard text. The quote there is from Tom. Tom is somebody who's not on an apprenticeship yet, but he's on a work programme with us. And Tom said, when we were asking him to give us some feedback on the programme he'd been through, hopefully I will move into the apprenticeship scheme within the next couple of weeks. After I've completed the apprenticeship, I will hopefully get a full-time job through the company and I have a job for life. You'll see there's 2 hopefullys there. What we're doing is giving Tom a little bit of hope. He wouldn't mind me saying he didn't do extremely well at school and he could have left at 16 with not much hope of getting a job. Through us thinking about our apprenticeship scheme differently, we've given Tom some hope and an aspiration. And I know the young man, and he doesn't really need to hope because I know that he will get on the apprenticeship scheme, and if I know him as I think I do, he will get onto a full-time job with us. This is the last slide, and it's a little bit cheesy, and I apologise for that, but the point of the slide is that if you're thinking about delivering social value, it's not about a scheme here or an activity there or one person who's got the task over there to deliver it for you. It's about a way of doing business as an organisation. The cheesiness is that the way we've described it is that delivering social value in Amey, particularly in Staffordshire, is about, it's embedded in our DNA, which was the point of the slide. So I'll leave you with that thought. If you are interested in delivering social value from your company, your organisation, it's not about schemes, it's got to be a way of doing business.